What is the greatest commandment? Good. Fifth commandment. So we have been looking at, well, how do I love the Lord my God with all my heart, soul, mind and strength? The answer is, first commandment, no other God. Second commandment, worship me as I am, not as you would like me to be. No idols. Don't misuse my name. Remember the special day that I've called you to set apart, particularly to devote to me. Yeah. And then we come to the fifth commandment. Fifth commandment is what? Honor your father and your mother. So, first question, is this part of loving the Lord your God with all your heart, or part of loving your neighbour as yourself? Who thinks it's neighbour as yourself? I'm saying we've looked at 4 commandments. They are clearly about loving God. Do not murder is clearly about loving your neighbour as yourself. Because the first commandment is love the Lord your God. Second one is love your neighbour as yourself. I'm saying this commandment, honour the Lord your God, but honour your father and mother. Is that part of loving the Lord your God or part of loving your neighbour? Who thinks it's part of loving your neighbour? Who thinks it's part of loving God? And the rest of you don't think. Okay? It's okay? Okay. Well, people vary. Something the 10 Commandments divide into 5 to love the Lord your God and 5 love your neighbour as yourself. They would say honour your parents belongs to this. Honour your parents. And some people say no, it's 4 and 6. And you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the first one here is honour your parents. Yeah, I tend to think this is correct, but I'm not going to argue about it. Because my argument would be when we honour our parents, we are honouring the Lord. Because it is the Lord who has put our parents over us. They stand as his representatives. So when I'm honouring my parents, then I am honouring the Lord who has set those parents over me. What does it mean to honour your parents? Get another word for honour. Respect. Okay, respect's a good word. Good. We obey them in the Lord because sometimes they might what? They might tell us to do things that are wrong. So we do not obey. There's a time when we do not obey those whom God has put over us, whether it's our parents, whether it's the authorities. You choose. Is it right for us to obey God or to obey men? Said who? The apostles, yeah? And so there might come a time when to obey your parents would be to disobey God, yeah? But in general, we are to honour, submit, respect them. We are to delight to do what they request, as long as it's not against the Lord's will. I don't know if you'll understand this, it's a cultural thing, but sometimes teenage children, they cannot believe how old-fashioned and out-of-date and unrealistic their parents are, yeah? I don't know if that's true in this culture, but sometimes parents will tell their teenage son or daughter what to do. And what does a child do? They go, roll their eyes. Yeah, do you understand that? They roll their eyes. Why are they rolling their eyes?
You're really out of this world.
Yeah, exactly. You're so not in touch with life, Dad. Well, people say that, don't they? When your son is 4 years old, he thinks his dad is perfect. When he's 14, he thinks his dad's pretty dreadful. When he gets to 34 or 44, he begins to think his dad actually knows a little bit. So they go through a stage where they just can't believe their parents are so stupid, basically. What age do we stop honouring our parents? What age do we stop honouring our parents? What happens when they're 85 years old and they're feeble and they can't hear anything and they can't see anything and they've got dementia? You still honour them, you still show them respect, yeah? You are more in touch with reality than they are. They now depend on you rather than you depend on them. They're still your parents, yeah? They're still your parents. And you treat them with honour and respect. Maybe you have to encourage them to take their tablets, their medicines. You have to say, no, Dad, you really do need to go to the hospital. Come on, Dad. And Dad said, no, I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And you say, no, come on, Dad, you must go. You can be firm, but you still honour them, yeah? You still honour. It's not just this, honour your father and mother. It's not just for little kiddies, yeah? It's for grown. As long as you have parents, you are to honour them, yeah? Watson, a Puritan called Watson, Thomas Watson, he's got a book called The 10 Commandments. And under this commandment, he actually says, yeah, we are called to honour our parents, but we are also called to honour, as we mentioned, the civil authorities as far as possible. You know, respect the emperor, respect the governor, respect those that the Lord has put over you, even if they are not believers, even if they are bad men. As far as possible, you show them honour and respect. He's got a book called The 10 Commandments. The greatest commandment is to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind and strength. What's the second commandment? To love your neighbour as yourself. If I love my neighbour, then the 10 Commandments tell me there are certain things that I will not do. What will I not do? I won't murder him. I won't wife. I won't steal. No, etc., etc. Let's look at them briefly in terms of stealing. If I murder someone, what do I steal? I steal their life, yeah? If I commit adultery, what am I stealing? I'm stealing their wife, their spouse. If I steal, then obviously I'm just stealing. If I bear false witness, what am I stealing? Their reputation. And the 10th commandment says, do not even think how nice it would be to steal from them. Do not covet. Do not look at what they have and think, that's what I want, yeah? But we need to, I mean, you haven't murdered, you haven't committed adultery, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. Most of you anyway, yeah? But Jesus, of course, shows that there is the basic command, and then he shows us the true depth, doesn't he? Yes. The depth, the fullness of the command, if we want to say that, yeah? The fullness. So, for example, do not murder means what, according to Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount? Do not what? Do not hate. Good. Do not be... Just get ready to pass it back. Do not be angry without cause, yeah? Do not hate. Do not kind of murder them in your heart. Do not have evil thoughts against your neighbour. And then there's a positive side as well, isn't there? Not only so basic command, no murder. The depth is no hate, no unnecessary anger. But then there's also the positive side of the command. Do you know what I mean by that? Positive side of the command. What's the positive side of do not murder?
Respect the life of the neighbour.
Yeah, do all you can to help them. Do all you can to prolong the life of your neighbour. And that is why later on in Exodus, when you dig a hole in the ground, what do? You put a fence around it or you cover it up. When you have your house with your flat roof, what do? You put a barrier around it, yeah? So your neighbour doesn't go up and fall off. So do not murder. Depth is no hate, no anger. The positive side is prolong life. Do all you can to keep life safe. So we're looking at safeness and prolonging life. And why? Why? What's the motive? When we are prolonging life, when we are doing all we can to save life, who are we imitating? We're imitating God, the giver of life. So we are called to preserve life, prolong life, because we are imitating, the motive is always imitating God, who is the giver of life. Yeah? Do you follow that? We are called to be like God, to do what he would do. So let's do the next one. Do not commit adultery, basic command. What's the deeper, fuller meaning? The deeper, fuller meaning? So no adultery, no stealing your neighbour's wife or husband. What's the deepening of that command? Do not look lustfully, yeah? So no lust in your heart towards your neighbour's wife. Don't even think about what it would be like to have sexual relations with her. Don't think about your neighbour's wife when you're making love to your wife. Okay? What's the positive side of the command? What's the opposite of committing adultery? Yeah, we're called upon to, instead of adultery, which destroys marriage, we're to do all we can to strengthen your neighbour's marriage. Yeah? Strengthen your own marriage. Yeah? Work in society to build strong marriages. And when you do that, how are we imitating God?
Because God is relational, we are imitating the relationship that God has.
Imitating. How is God in relationships?
He's faithful.
Faithful. That's the word I want. Faithful. When I am faithful to my wife, when I do not commit adultery, when I am being faithful to my wife, I am imitating the God who is faithful to his people. Yeah? Do one more. Next one is do not steal. Basic command is no steal. What's the deeper level, the real meaning of the command? Not just don't steal this phone. What's the deeper thing?
Be a good steward of what God has given.
What? Okay, good. Well, that's a positive side, I think. Be contentment. What else did you say?
Greed.
No, greed is the bad stuff, yeah. But someone else said something good. What else was it?
Being a good steward.
A good steward, good. So we want to be a good steward.
What is deeper positive?
Huh?
Positive. That is positive.
That's positive, yeah. I've gone to positive. Yeah, we're still... So positive is being good stewards. Instead of stealing from other people, you be good stewards of your own possessions. Instead of... So what's the depth here? What's the depth there? Well, really, I think it takes us actually to the 10th commandment, which is do not... I must not steal her phone, but I must not even look here and thinking, I wish I had a phone like that. And coveting it, yeah? So no covetousness, which is the 10th commandment, isn't it? Positive side, don't steal, is contentment. It's being good stewards. I would say it is, instead of stealing from you, what's the opposite of stealing from you? It's actually giving to you, isn't it? So instead of stealing, I'm to be generous. And to be generous. Paul says in Ephesians 4, let the thief do what? Let those of you who were thieves do what? Why? Steal no more. Why?
Work so that you may have something to
Good. Work hard that you may have not enough to live on, but work hard so that you have something to give. We do not work in order to live, we work in order to give. Aha. So, generosity. And how are we imitating God?
His benevolence and provision.
He's the giver.
Yes, God is
Yeah, he's a giver of everything, isn't he? He's a giver, he's a provider, he's the one who loves to pour out blessings upon us. He's generosity to an infinite level because of his infinite generosity and kindness and so on and so forth. Well, we'll stop there. We could do the other two. No murder, no adultery, no stealing, no bearing false witness. Well, do that. No bearing false witness. No false witness. What does that mean? It's a bit hard to say. What's the depth? What's the deeper side of that? I don't say bad stuff about you. Bearing false witness, I think it particularly means in the court, in the law court. I do not go to the court and say, this man stole my dog, yeah? But I think it means also then no gossip. No, I've just got a prayer request to share about Abby. And then I kind of whisper something juicy into her ear, yeah? This is for prayer. And she can't wait to tell her. And by the end of the class, you know, the one over there knows what I just told her about Abby, but it's been distorted and exaggerated and swollen, yeah? So no false witness, that means no gossip, even for spiritual prayer concerns, yeah? What do we do instead of bearing false witness? What are we to do? What's a positive?
Be truthful.
Yeah, well, truthful, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good, speak well of her, yeah? Speak well. That's what I wanted you to do last week when we had the assessment for class, yeah? You don't like so much about me, but at least say something nice about my tie, you know? If you can't say anything else, just find one thing positive. Truthful, speak well, and what about just encouraging words? That's something else, isn't it? Truthful, I will tell the truth about them. If it's edifying, I'll speak well of them and I'll encourage them rather than crush them with my words. I try to build them up. Build up. And how are we imitating God? Well, he speaks truthfully. He's the encourager, isn't he? He's the one who wants to build us up in the most holy faith, etc., etc. Sin. So we leave the Ten Commandments. Sin is what? Sin is any failure to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, or any failure to love your neighbor as yourself. And I think that includes what I call sins of thoughtlessness, meaning we sin without thinking about it, without realizing we're doing it. A very kind of pertinent example, we used to live in an estate, and the neighbours just across the road, big marquee, all night they have loud music pounding away. They're celebrating, and I'm lying there and I'm not celebrating. Yeah? What are they thinking? Their music is so loud you can kind of feel your chest vibrating from the neighbour's music. What are they thinking? Everybody likes our music at 3 o'clock in the morning. Or people will be able to sleep anyway. Eventually they'll drop off to sleep, even with this music on. Or it will keep people awake, but it doesn't matter them missing one night of sleep, does it? What are you thinking when you do that, when you get your big marquee up to celebrate graduating from AIU? and you keep all your neighbours away. What are you thinking?
It's pleasant music.
Huh?
It's pleasant music. Everyone likes it.
Or perhaps they're not thinking at all. That's why I call it sins of thoughtlessness. They're just busy doing what they want to do, and who cares what my neighbour is suffering? Yeah? They're not thinking.
The neighbor is grouping to the music also.
Now, when you're in the village and you're celebrating a wedding, then that's different because, you know, the whole village is celebrating. Or maybe in the old days, yeah? If there's a big wedding in the village, everyone's there, everyone's dancing, everyone's eating, everyone's awake. But in Nairobi, some of us like to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah? Don't invite me to an all-night party, okay? And some of us, again, when I lived in Dunholm, the next door neighbours occasionally got up at about 3 o'clock to pray. And there's nothing worse at 3 o'clock in the morning than hear your neighbour praising the Lord. Even Proverbs says, don't do it. Don't do it. At 3 o'clock, shut up and let your neighbour sleep. If you want to pray, pray silently, okay? Huh? You don't believe me? You read the whole book of Proverbs, and when you get to the verse, Google it. There's 45 of you in class, and I bring 40 copies of the book, and I put them on a pile afterwards and say, take a copy as you go out. What do? You can see there's not enough books for everyone. What do? You crawl over other people, you climb over other people, you push them out of the way, yeah? To get your book. I don't know if this is going to backfire seriously, but you come into class at 11:05 and you take the last seat. What's going to happen in about 30 seconds? Someone else is going to come. Yes. They don't have a seat. When you came and sat on the last seat, why didn't you go and get a chair for the next person? Oh, you say, well, because they should learn to come on time. He will encourage them to come on time if they have no chair. Okay. Yeah. There's another illustration I remember many years ago. I went to pick my son up from school, and I had the air conditioning on, and he got into the car and he immediately changed the dial on the air conditioning. Was that okay? Was he not being thoughtless? Should he not have said, Dad, do you mind if I change the air conditioning? I shared this with the class once and they said, oh yeah, but you were thoughtless as well, because when he got in, you should have said, do you want the air conditioning adjusted? Any more thoughtless sins? Any more thoughtless sins you know of? You understand what I mean by thoughtless? We're just so focused on what makes me comfortable and what I'm doing that I don't kind of notice and I'm sort of treading on you. And yeah, thoughtless sin. Yes, Stephen. Yeah.
What would be the natural reaction for the person who is being offended by the thoughtless sin of the individual? What is the expected reaction? Do you look for means of mediation? Do you react? Do you not react because?
Well, it depends how big a thing it is and who is in the car with you or who the neighbour is. Yeah. With the neighbours, when they had that big marquee in the tent, I actually went out with my big dog. And went to their fence and shouted at them and said, can you turn the music down? And they didn't hear me. So I went back to bed. Total waste of time. I thought of getting a bucket of water and throwing it over them, but I didn't. But yeah, it depends who it is, you know, and what the relationship is, how serious it is, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
If I'm being considerate of you,
Yeah.
and you're in turn being considerate of me,
Yeah.
so if me playing the loud music is not being considerate of you,
Yeah.
then you telling me to turn it off is you being inconsiderate of me.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? Is it reasonable to say, who's right? Your right to celebrate loudly, does that override my right to get a good night's sleep? And in some cultures, the answer is no. In the UK, if you were having a very, very loud party, I could phone the police and the police would come and tell you to turn it down, yeah? That's how it used to be. Nowadays, it's changed. But yeah, it's who's right. Who's right is the more fundamental. I would say you could celebrate quietly. Or you could at least have told me the day before, we're going to have an all-night party, so I could go and sleep somewhere else. Yeah? No, I've done that before. I did that in Nigeria because the Bible college was here and my house was next to this house in the village and someone had died and you knew there was going to be music for 3 days. So I just went and moved. So it's give and take. It's as far as is possible, live at peace with all men. What is reasonable, what is unreasonable. And I have to be careful because I'm in a strange culture here. And I don't know what the norms are.
So, in this regard, there is
Go on.
environmental pollution,
Yeah.
which I don't just think infringes his own rights, but it infringes also on other people's rights.
Yeah.
So while he suggests we should also consider his right to enjoy his music a bit too loudly, he's hurting more people than himself. So,
Yeah. And I say, I think it would be reasonable to tell people beforehand, we're going to have an all-night party, so we hope you don't mind. Or invite me to the meal, invite me to come and celebrate. But just to make me lie awake when it's reasonable to go to sleep. Okay.
goes against the grain.
Yeah. Yeah, another comment. Yes.
Yeah, what about like for Islam, if you go to Mombasa,
Yeah.
it's so loud
Yeah.
that they want to do the prayers, but it's to help you.
Yeah.
They want to help you. So someone could be playing this music because they want to help you. They don't want you to be bored while you drive. So you
Yeah.
enter the
Yeah.
matatu. He's playing some music so you don't get bored.
Yeah, there's all sorts
For
of...
him, he's helping you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he thinks
You
so,
see?
but he could ask me if it's helpful, couldn't he? Because is this helpful?